Evolution as an artist is important. When you start out and people find you, they normally see you to have this certain kind of gumption about you that makes you so attractive with your style or the way that you approach a song or the way that your hooks are done that keeps them grasped. And as years go by, you start to form this sort of individualistic approach to your music that didn't really sound like it used to. And then fans will start to clamor towards you like, hey, can you please go to the way that this song was made? Because it was really good. Or the way that this album was done is one of your best. Why don't you go and do this? It doesn't sound like your old stuff. This is the #1 case with a lot of artists, but none other has been a heavier impact on this sort of complaining is Jarren Benton. Now, there are so many people that have followed him ever since his funk volume rise and fall, but for the people that don't know, Jarren Benton is an artist out of Atlanta who was formerly on the Funk Volume label before that had fallen apart, and he decided to continue somewhat with Dame Ritter as his manager, and then it seems like he just fell off into doing things independently, which is totally okay. And then all of a sudden, this album called Yuck Fou dropped with a Rock Nation. Like, what? How could you go from independent to Jay-Z signs off on this? There must be something about his music to Jay-Z that even a lot of people that are fans of him are catching on to, which is amazing, because Jarren is a very talented person. His talent has definitely expanded. He's become a multifaceted artist over the years. He went from just being that one set of vocal approach to his songs, more like how Eminem did back in the 90s when he was just talking shock value. Now, Jarren definitely does have that southern approach to his music where he could do something that talks about lean or Cadillacs or lowriders, whatever. But then he could also do an Eminem approach and talk about how cutting someone's head off and using it as a lamp inside of the house. Something along those lines. Now, this album specifically has been one in the making for a year. But for fans of his music, it's been in the make for at least 5 years. Because not many songs of his has had such a candlelight held to his breakout song. And there are so many people that complained after his albums had come out that why doesn't this sound like Schizo? It's some of the best work that you put out. Even My Grandma's Basement, his very first album on Funk Volume, people started to complain about it. It's bad. If you can't accept evolution of an artist, then why are you there in the first place? You're just there taking up space that no one really wants to see. New fans that find his music are always impressed. They're always floored at his wordplay, at how vast his vocal range is when it comes to a hook or his verse, or even how he compares some things. His writing style is insane. It literally can hold itself up with some of the top 10 artists that people have nowadays. And with talent being something that's definitely a dwindling thing when it comes to mainstream hip-hop, it's very sad. But nevertheless, this album starts off with the producer of the album, sole producer of the album, Kato, and Jarren in this doctor's office SNL type sketch. Jarren is in the patient room, and as the doctor comes in, he's like, yeah, I got the most embarrassing problem. This thing is stuck up and I cannot put it back down. I've tried several things, I just can't do it. They've attempted several times to try and get it down, and Kato gets fed up and he's like, no, get out. Just get out. And Jarren makes a funny joke about Viagra pills, and then Kato gets fed up again and tells him to leave. So after that, the album officially starts. Now, the first song of the album is called Collide. Very, very similar approach to this song like it was with his song Adidas off of My Grandma's Basement. Just the way that the verses ended and went into the chorus, it's very, very good. It's nice to see that Jarren can still go back to his old days with the way that he wrote everything and the way that he approached the song. It's nice to see through his evolution, he can still call back to what made him such an eye-catching artist to people. The album goes on to its second song, which is called Moneybag, which features Jay Park. I've never heard of Jay Park before. Apparently he's been on a few people's songs, and I've never heard of him until this album. I kind of wish I would have found out about him sooner, because although his verse isn't anything mind-boggling or something that's just, oh man, that's insane, his flow is on point. What he wrote about pertained to the song topic. It's really good. It's just talking about money. So who can't write about that? You may ask yourself that, but there are a lot of people that really can't write about getting money or wanting to get money that well, and it just doesn't make it catching to the ear. He made it catching. and he made it catchy. After that, the song is called Godzilla. If you have heard this song, if you heard the hook, dear God, it's awful. The hook is awful. The guy's name is Oba Roland, if I can actually pronounce that right. The hook is so bad. I actually had a sad face written on my notes for this. It's bad. It's almost like they came to him with 1 week remaining on the album, and they're like, dude, please, just send the hook back. And he just sat there, high out of his mind, and he's like, I'll just say bitch 30 times. You have to think a little bit harder. Nothing in the verse pertained to the skyscraper-like creature of Godzilla. Nothing. Nothing pertained to it at all. It was ridiculous. Like, why? Why do you do this to yourself, dude? Like, if I were Jarren and if I were B.O.B., I'd be upset. That's just me, though. Granted, some people are going to be like, oh, you can't write a better hook. I'm willing to imagine I probably could. I didn't write anything for this, but give me a little bit of time and a blank spot on the beat, I could probably write a better hook. Anyway, well, he's probably getting money from this, but regardless, anyway. Song after this is called Don't Need You, which features Hopsin. Holy crap. It's like the raw Hopsin came back. And why is it that every time an artist that seems to lose their fire gets featured on something? Eminem, Hopsin. I don't want to keep going because it's just bad logic. It's bad because there are so many people out there that have had such a fire and gumption about them that made so many fans flock to them by the hundreds of thousands, and then all of a sudden you start to talk about how things are bad. Okay, things can be bad, but you can also talk about how you're lyrically superior to your peers. Now, if you make one sole purpose of the album, if you make a message for the album, do it like Denzel Curry did. Do it like Logic did with Everybody to a certain extent. Do it like Royce da 5'9" did with Book of Ryan. Hopsin, you don't need to do this. I've known that you've been making music forever, but dude, come on. Even at your worst, even when Knock Madness was considered your worst album, I would still listen to that over No Shame. I would listen to that over Pound Syndrome. I understand you were going through bad times, but dang, dog. Anyway, Hopsin kills it, Jarren kills it. It's a lot like Schizo. It's really, really good. It was literally what Jarren said would be his next level version of Schizo. So it's nice to see that that's going on. Now, there's a song on here called The Shooter, which is very topical considering all the issues we've been having in America recently, but it's taken away. Its message is just driven into the ground by the feature. The feature artist is called Whatever We Are, and I really wanted to know whatever he was on when he was thinking that this actually sounded good. His voice is abysmal, and I did not want to listen to his verse again. And I didn't want to listen to the hook again because it's just so high-pitched. It's so bad. It's almost like I was listening to a poorly recorded Ray Shremmerd verse. And I would have preferred to listen to them on this hook. But nevertheless, Jarren talks about a very topical issue that's going on in America right now, being school shooters. So why not talk about something that's molding into the former of this child that's having some issues? He loses a friend, he gets bullied, and then he just takes the gun that he has in his house and shoots everybody in the school. It's not great. It's not the lightest song you'd want to hear. I certainly wasn't smiling when I heard about it, but yeah, the feature artist definitely took away from the main message of the song. I don't even know what the purpose of his hook was. I don't know what the purpose of his verse was. Anyway, song after this is called Chewbacca, which is a very, very, very good song. Banger. It is the purpose, one of the main songs that became the purpose for this album. The main reason they put this album together, Kato and Jarren, they wanted to make a song, but they wanted to keep going and make another song and another song and another song. It's pure chemistry between these guys. They wanted to make an album that was just straight bangers. Now, there's a couple songs here and there that try and have a message in there, and there's nothing wrong with that, and you try and have your My Money So Right song like Moneybag, and it works. But then you have songs like Godzilla and The Shooter with the features. It's just, meh. It's not good. All in all, This album is a valiant step back into what he used to have when he first got his lightning in a bottle moment. Now, is it his best album? There are a few songs on here that are some of his best to date. But does it take away from some of the songs that are on here that are meh to make it a great album? It's a great album for him. Not many people can pull off this kind of flow, this kind of approach to beats, this kind of production. Not many people can go on trap beats and sound like Eminem. Not saying that he is like an Eminem. He has inspiration. It's just not everything there. I'm pretty sure people will understand what I mean by that. This is an album to meet fans once. And it's been something that every fan, every single fan, excluding myself, has been complaining about. Slow Motion Volume 1, Slow Motion Volume 2, Mint Coat Killer, and even his features when he was on the 1 Week Notice album. They were all individualistic to how he's been evolving as an artist, and no one wants to hear anything good come from him. They just want to hear, I'll slice somebody's heads off and put it in my house as a lamp. There's no purpose in saying that over and over again. If you say it more than once, people are going to be like, man, that guy just doesn't know how to get out of it. Even Brother Lynch Hung, who writes about horrorcore, approaches every song differently. It's about 10 years before he starts to use the same word again. Come on. You can't get angry at this man for evolving as an artist. I met Jarren in person years ago, and he's very humble. He's a very, very humble artist, and he knows that every time that a fan comes to him with proper criticism, he will take it into his closest heart and explode it when the next song comes out. He doesn't talk about how the fans are not liking his music all the time. He talks about it sometimes because he can't be that same person all the time. No one can be. And granted, I did rip into Hobson on here. I've ripped into Eminem multiple times. But it's just because after a while, if you don't try and find something after talking about the same shit over and over again, if your style changes, that's fine. If the way that you write changes, that's also fine. But you gotta make it good enough for everyone to like it. Even the new fans that are finding out about you through your singles. Anyways, rant over. This is episode 42 of Claws. My name is Ethan, otherwise known as Two-Face. For the people that don't know, recently I've been putting out one takes on the channel, and also there has been a song that dropped on SoundCloud. I'll leave a link for that in the description, for a song that I worked with the producer, The Virus and Antidote, out of the UK. It is a song called Jeepers Creepers Part 2. The featured artists on there are myself, Ecliptic, and Pseudocurse. Two very talented artists, one of which I had the opportunity to talk to. It's been a blessing to work with Virus. He's a very talented producer, and it was very nice to see that within 9 days now, the song has 2,000 listens. That is the most that a song I've been on has had in a very long time, extremely long time. The last time I had something this heavy was back in 2013 with a song called Taken Away that I had with my friend. And me and Kovu have gone so far since then. It's so nice to see that things are coming together. So, with that being said, I hope everybody has a phenomenal weekend. I'm also not sorry that I was gone for 2 weeks because I kind of needed to recuperate, get some things together. Next week, I will be reviewing the Denzel Curry album, Taboo. And after that will be the brand new, all new, amazing Suicide Boys record, I Want to Die in New Orleans, for episode 44. It was going to be episode 46, but 2 weeks had gone by, like I said. Nevertheless, I will be reviewing that album the day it comes out, because those guys are a huge inspiration on how I've evolved as an artist, and it will be a great pleasure to talk on both of those records. Taboo is a phenomenal record. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it. And then when I review it next week, hopefully your opinions will match up with mine. Anyway, I'll see everybody next Friday. Stay selfish. Peace.